Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of lesson 5.1, the unit circle for pre-calculus. We're almost done with our lesson. We just have 2 last examples and 1 last thing to talk about. So the whole point of reference numbers is that it helps you by simply allowing you to know the first quadrant of your unit circle, using that to figure out a terminal point, and then figuring out what it would be in a different quadrant. Now, personally, I think it's easiest just to know the whole unit circle because it's not that hard and there are lots of patterns. When we get back to school, I'll talk to you about those patterns. But for now, we're going to follow this example. It says, number 1, find the reference number of the value they gave. Then they want us to find the terminal point of that, and then fix the signs based on the quadrant in which it lies. Now, just a reminder, for the quadrants, each quadrant has unique signs. Let me show you. So you'll notice I've sketched out a basic coordinate plane. When you're in quadrant 1 up here, both the x and the y will be positive. In quadrant 2 over here, the x is negative and the y is positive. In quadrant 3, they're both negative. And in quadrant 4, x is positive and y is negative. So these are the signs we're going to adjust for based on the quadrant. Okay, so we're getting our numbers from quadrant 1, and then we'll get our signs from this. So let's take a look at example 4. In part A, they said t equals 5 pi over 6. Now remember, 5 pi over 6 is going to be over here, which is in second quadrant. So I'm going to do pi minus 5 pi over 6 to get my reference number. So pi minus 5 pi over 6 is pi over 6. I'll take the ordered pair from first quadrant, square root 3 over 2, 1/2. Then I have to remember I'm in quadrant 2. So in quadrant 2, x is negative and y is positive. So right here, I'm going to make my x value negative and keep my y value positive. This is my final answer. So we're going to do the same thing with 7 pi over 4. 7 pi over 4 is down here in fourth quadrant. So the distance here is going to be 2 pi minus 7 pi over 4. Okay, so we got common denominators to get 8 pi over 4 minus 7 pi over 4, which is pi over 4. Pi over 4 is right here with this terminal point, so I'm going to steal that point and then adjust the signs. Okay, so this was my point, and now I'm in fourth quadrant, which means x is positive, y is negative. So right here, I'm going to add a negative sign for being in fourth quadrant, and that is the answer. Now our last one is negative 2 pi over 3. So negative 2 pi over 3 is going to be right here in quadrant 3. Okay, so in quadrant 3, the closest x-axis is at pi. So I'm going to do pi minus, now negative 2 pi over 3, I really shouldn't do pi minus negative 2 pi over 3. I should get the value from the third quadrant, which happens to be, let's see, that's 4 pi over 3. Okay, so I'm going to do pi minus 4 pi over 3 and make it positive. Okay, when I did this, I got 3 pi over 3 minus 4 pi over 3 is negative pi over 3, which gets me pi over 3 as the value in my first quadrant. So I'm going to use this ordered pair. And then I need to adjust it for being in third quadrant. So here's my point. And remember, in third quadrant, the x's are negative and the y's are negative. So my final answer is negative 1/2 negative square root 3 over 2. Okay, we have one last example. Here it is. In this case, they want us to find the terminal point determined by this t value. Now notice this is much bigger than anything on our unit circle. So what I'm going to need to do is subtract out 2 pi until I get to something on my unit circle. So I'm going to bring the unit circle up again, and then I'll start subtracting. Okay, so what I did is I took my original expression and subtracted 2 pi, or a full circle. Now, you will notice that when I did that, I had to get common denominators, and I subtracted, and I got 29 minus 12 is 17 pi. Now, this is too big, okay? This is more than a full unit circle because a full unit circle is 12 pi. So I had to subtract again, and you just keep subtracting 2 pi. Again, remember, this is equal to 2 pi. So I did 17 pi over 6 minus 12 pi over 6 is 5 pi over 6. This is actually on my unit circle right here. So my terminal point is this one right here. Okay, so the final answer is negative square root 3 over 2, comma 1/2. That is the final answer. Now, a few recommendations. Definitely print a unit circle. I'll have them for you when we get to school, but for now, you definitely want a unit circle. And I'm going to give you a unit circle quiz for this chapter. So you kind of have to know all of the radian measures and all of these ordered pairs around the outside. But don't panic. I'm going to show you ways to remember it. There are lots and lots of patterns here. Okay, so I'm going to show you ways to remember it, so don't panic. So make sure you do your homework and let me know if you have any questions.